Thank you so much, Madam Chair. As the Member of Parliament for Markham-Stouffville, my primary concern is that my constituents have access to high-speed internet at an affordable price. And for the last 3 of these sessions, I do not see any upside for my constituents for the acquisition of Shaw by Rogers. However, as a member of this committee, we have a responsibility to make recommendations at the end of this study. And we have heard a number of potential changes to the mandate of the CRTC, to some of the issues related to the Competition Bureau. So I would like to start with Ms. Shaban. You have, of course, told us about the efficiencies defense, and you're feeling that Rogers may very well use this defense and may in fact be successful in having the Competition Bureau being unable to refuse this particular merger. Is there anything in that efficiencies defense that you would like to see retained? I'm assuming that you would like to see it removed completely. But could you speak a little bit about what was the purpose originally, and are there any elements that might need to be retained?
Right. So the original purpose of the efficiencies defense was to allow businesses the opportunity to achieve scale so that they could better compete internationally. That's kind of the more superficial rationale. The layer below that is that the efficiencies defense exists because decades earlier in the 1960s, there was a fundamental shift in how scholars and legal experts understood the role of competition policy. And this shift was away from the original understandings of antitrust in the United States, from a more consumer focused economic fairness and justice lens to one that focuses exclusively on efficiency. And I think it's important to have efficiency as part of the mandate of competition policy. And so in that sense, I think it would make sense to retain some of that, that goal in any revisions to the Competition Act. I think the problem with the efficiencies defense is its very structure and the way it forces the Competition Bureau and the Competition Tribunal to assess efficiencies. It pits consumer interests against those of businesses and gives preferences to businesses. And I think in this, as our economy evolves and we move towards a more digital age, the philosophy underpinning the efficiencies defense isn't really that relevant. And I'm not sure whether the efficiencies defense has actually achieved what it set out to do. Again, the number one user of the efficiencies defense has been Superior Propane. And I'd be interested to know whether Superior Propane has actually become a Canadian champion in the global sphere. There's a lot of research that we need to be doing on the effectiveness of our competition policies, and we actually don't have the tools to do that compared to other jurisdictions. So I think to answer your question just directly, I think that the efficiencies defense as it is, Section 96, it has to go. Maybe there is a way to imbue the act with a frame of efficiency, but the way that that provision is structured, it's not conducive to create equitable outcomes.
Thank you. Now, Professor Geist, you surprised me considerably when you said that under the current chair, the emphasis at the CRTC seems to have changed. And I'm wondering, surely the chair has a very clear-cut mandate, or is it in reaction to some sort of policy directives that the chair has received? I'm surprised that there's a lack of clarity as to the direction of the CRTC. So could you kind of address how the CRTC's mandate is structured that allows for some flexibility?
Sure. Well, I mean, quickly with 30 seconds, I think I'd start by noting that there have been governments have provided in their essentially a mandate letter to CRTC chairs. We had that with Jean-Pierre Blais, for example, so that there is some effort at times from governments to try to provide some guidance for what they expect to see. But I guess more fundamentally, I think every chair takes on the position with certain goals in mind. Sometimes they're well articulated, sometimes not. Sometimes we'll get a speech where we'll see what some of the priorities are. My view would be that under Blais, we saw a really strong emphasis about consumers being at the center of the communication system, both broadcast and telecom. And we've seen a shift away from that under the current chair.
Thank you.